Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so we're diving straight into a really fascinating historical debate today. For decades now, there's been this widespread assumption that traditional African politics were almost exclusively male-dominated, like entirely a boys' club. But today, we're going to look at some absolute game-changing evidence that challenges this head-on, showing how the survival of these societies was actually deeply, fundamentally reliant on female political leadership. To keep things grounded, we're pulling directly from some fantastic research published in the Journal of Legal Pluralism by E. Kofi Agorsa. His work meticulously details how the historical survival of many traditional African societies was literally driven by women-related events. It's a whole side of the political landscape that has unfortunately been heavily obscured in our conventional history books. So here is our roadmap for today. First, the great political myth. 2, ancient Egypt's divine queens. 3, Nigeria's royal queen mothers. 4, Ghana's kingmakers and warriors. 5, Sierra Leone's paramount chiefs. And finally, number 6, redefining traditional leadership. All right, section 1, the great political myth. Fact versus fiction. So, there's this really widespread misconception out there, honestly mostly fueled by later colonial or patriarchal perspectives, that women in these societies were inherently dependent, passive, fragile, and non-aggressive. But the actual historical reality, it completely shatters those stereotypes. We're talking about women serving as vital regents, commanding fierce armies, and acting as the ultimate kingmakers. Women were actively pursuing strategies to control power and authority, not just standing quietly in the background. Moving right along to section 2, Egypt's divine queens, ancient power structures. Let's jump way back, like 3,500 years back, to ancient Egypt, specifically looking at the tomb of King Tutankhamun. Archaeologists found this incredibly graceful female figure portraying the goddess Selkit, marked by her scorpion emblem. Now, why does this matter politically? Well, Selkit controlled magic, funerary duties, and childbirth. Amazingly, these elements weren't just cultural fluff. They provided the absolute rock-solid spiritual support required for the king's very survival. The feminine divine was quite literally a foundation of state security. And this whole divine concept wasn't just abstract mythology. It translated directly to the actual living queen. During this period, royal brother-sister marriages were practiced for deeply theological reasons. The queen was actually recognized as the wife of Amun, the state god. This meant she actively helped sustain the divine nature of the king himself. In Tutankhamun's tomb, there's a magnificent wooden chest with ivory panels showing the king and queen together, which has led researchers to conclude that the immense wealth of the Egyptian state was placed under their joint guardianship. Her role wasn't secondary at all. It was a dual divinity. Section 3, Nigeria's Queen Mothers, Royal Authority in Benin. Fast forward to around the year 1550, Oba Esegi of Benin did something revolutionary. He became the first king to officially confer the title of Queen Mother on his own mother. From then on, it became this highly formalized political institution. Every king would crown his mother 3 years after his accession. And we actually have physical, undeniable proof of this supreme reverence in the form of magnificent archaeological finds. We're talking about a stunning 16th century bronze Queen Mother head from Benin and a terracotta head found in Ife, featuring this elaborate 5-tiered beaded crown. It is a striking, tangible testament to the absolute authority placed upon women in the traditional political hierarchy of Nigeria. Next up, section 4, Ghana's kingmakers and warriors. Let's head over to the Akan peoples of Ghana. They have this incredibly powerful political office called the Okiame, or the chief's spokesman. Fascinatingly, oral tradition traces this entire office directly back to a woman named Nana Ama. During the reign of the third Ashanti chief, she was an old woman who walked with 2 walking sticks. She would stand right in the middle of the king's court, actually refusing to sit down, and she'd argue brilliantly, using history and deep proverbs to defend the accused. She was literally so effective that when she passed away, her son Adoku actually took her 2 walking sticks and transformed them into the very first official spokesman staff. He named the staff Asempa Yetia, which beautifully translates to a good argument is short or truth is brief. Just think about that for a second. One of the most vital political and legal roles in Akan society was entirely modeled after a woman's wisdom and eloquence. But wait, it gets even bigger, because the Queen Mother's power goes way beyond just eloquent defense. When it comes to the Asante kingmaking process, she is the ultimate authority. When a king dies, she instantly assumes control as regent and convenes a special council. Even while all the elders are discussing, it is the Queen Mother who gives the final official endorsement based on traditional rules. And when the new king is finally sworn in, he must lower his clothes as a sign of respect and swear his oath directly to her first, before anyone else in the kingdom. And these women were fiercely protective of their states. Take Ya Asantewaa, for example. She was the queen mother of Edweso. In 1900, when the British colonial government had the audacity to try and seize the sacred golden stool of the Asante kingdom, she didn't just advise from the shadows. She stepped up as chief commander and literally led the Asante army into war against the British. The Ya Asantewaa War completely destroys any lingering modern stereotype of traditional female fragility.
Military survival was deeply intertwined with women's roles, even outside of direct command, and sometimes in really surprising ways. Look at this incredibly powerful oath from the Krobo people of southern Ghana. During the swearing in of a new chief, the oldest woman of the house literally holds her porridge sticks and swears this oath. If there is war, and I should refuse to prepare porridge for you, I should rather sacrifice my own head. The irony here is just stunning, right? A seemingly domestic act like making porridge was literally a prerequisite for military and political legitimacy. Only after she swears this oath can the men swear their allegiance.
Section 5. Sierra Leone. Paramount Power. It is absolutely vital to understand that we aren't just talking about ancient history or centuries-old wars here. Among the Yalunka women in Sierra Leone, political and economic functions historically reserved for men in other cultures were completely standard for women. Just look at this data from the 1970s. Out of 81 paramount chiefs in Sierra Leone at the time, 10 were women. That is a massive retention of traditional executive authority, proving for sure that these structures survive robustly well into contemporary political landscapes. Finally, Section 6, Redefining Leadership, Traits and Truths. So, when we pull all this evidence together, a really clear truth emerges, and it fundamentally reshapes how we should be viewing history. Leadership traits are not biologically bound. The historical data proves over and over that female leaders operated with the exact same objectivity and decisiveness as male leaders. The qualities required for a queen mother were literally identical to those required for a king. You had to be level-headed, honest, and hardworking. They weren't just passive supporters. They were active, brilliant architects of state power. Which leaves us with one incredibly critical question to wrap up this explainer. If our conventional history books so completely missed the queens who literally led armies, shaped laws, and crowned kings, what other traditional power structures across the globe are we still entirely misunderstanding today?